Okay, so recently we've been covering the whole Anya Nyabyss situation. Now, obviously, this has been a pretty interesting one, as she recently announced the fact that she would be leaving Phase Connect, right? She would be graduating, and that she would be, I'm assuming, going back to her old account, which she had about 6 months ago, but as we've seen so much movement and talk about, a new model, new debut, and whatever. And yeah, obviously, it was announced the fact that she will be graduating from Phase Connect, stated a disagreement with management as a reason, which has led her into a creative rut, right? And we talked about this more in detail in the last video if you guys want to go and take a look at that one. But essentially, it seems like from this, she's been getting quite a lot of backlash for several reasons. One that we brought up in the last video, but also some other reasons as well, that people aren't so happy with her graduation, right? Now, this is the first one saying, my heart goes out to the Saga girls. It's a shame someone was given their opportunity just to squander it and shift blame elsewhere. So they say she debuts late, which is fine. Shit happens. It obviously sets her back on timelines. But when she actually debuted, she barely streams at all. Then she bails on the biggest event in the company has ever put on, that she likely knew was being set up for quite some time. Doesn't even acknowledge it, just posts sandcastles. Then decides to quit on Lumi's biggest day. Absolutely no awareness of what's going on around her. Tries to blame management. Class act, Anya. I wish you no success. So yeah, people were pretty unhappy with that, right? And again, there's multiple reasons as to why this is the case, right? And yeah, they say, for example, the lack of streaming. So essentially, people saying that she wanted to be successful and whatever, but there was a big lack of streaming. She wasn't going live, and there wasn't very many live streams, which usually someone would take the chance at to kind of stream as much as possible, right? And also they talk about the fact that then she bails on the biggest event, being FaceCon, and doesn't really mention it much, which again is also something that people were unhappy about, because they're saying that essentially, like, if you wanted, the whole thing was more events and more whatever, right? If that's what she wanted, then why didn't she go to one of the biggest events that Phase Connect put on, right? It's kind of confusing for some people, so I guess that's why some people are unhappy as well. And also as well, they're unhappy at the fact that she decided to do it on Lumi's biggest day. I think she put out an album or whatever as well, with a whole anniversary thing going on. So again, lots of people were pretty mad at that too, because it's on the same day. So obviously it brings down a lot of what's going on with her, and shifts the kind of focus onto Anya, right? Which again, I do think maybe there could have been a better day picked, especially considering the fact that it is another Phase Connect talent, right? If it was someone's random like birthday or whatever, like some random VTuber that's not associated with Phase Connect, then no, it doesn't really matter, right? But it is a Phase Connect VTuber. Maybe they could have done a little bit of looking into who was doing what, and then just pick a day when it was relatively quiet, right? So yeah, people were pretty mad at that one, and I think it could have been changed potentially, right? Is it polite to point out that Anya Nyabyss literally copied Gawr Gura's graduation stream thumbnail and exact wording to announce her own graduation? Not gonna lie, this feels about as in poor taste as you can get. And again, I don't know, I haven't watched like both streams side by side, so I'm not sure exactly how close the actual wording of it was. But yeah, obviously the thumbnail was quite similar, but I also think at the same time, these kind of thumbnails are very famous, right? People like to make these like ones of them looking into the distance every time they graduate, right? And also as well, it includes like the wind one, where they're like their hair's blowing in the wind. So again, it is a very common style of thumbnail, but I think they're saying like the actual art itself and like the way it's kind of compositioned is much like Saba's, or not Saba's, but Gawr Gura's whenever she graduated, which I think I think there are some similarities, right? And here is just a little bit of a comparison just to show you guys. This is the Gawr Gura thumbnail here. You can see same kind of thing, right? They're both looking in the same direction, same kind of style. The VTubers are very similar as well in terms of the style of the VTuber model anyways, so it does make it look very similar. But of course, some people could argue that it is just a graduation thing, and again, I don't know, I don't really care about the thumbnail too much, but yeah, if the wording is copied, then I think that is pretty interesting, right? But of course, you know, we'll have to see if there's anything else from that. You know, so people say so much for starting a new phase of life. I will admit I wasn't keeping a close eye on her after all the debut predates my existence, but from what I heard and saw, there were red flags, including having a delayed debut for reasons. Guess you didn't pray enough. So yeah, obviously it is interesting, right? And of course, there's been more comments though, saying there's many aspects of this graduation that are unfortunate timing and will make some people feel compassion for Anya. There's many aspects of this graduation that poorly reflect on her character and will make some people angry at Anya, which yeah, I think is true, right? In short, a giant face connect L, sad. So yeah, I think 100% they've kind of hit the nail on the head there. There are some things in here which obviously is going to cause a lot of backlash and stuff in terms of like the timings of things and the thumbnails and literally everything we talked about throughout this video so far, right? But there's also other things that as well, you know, kind of reflect as poor timing and it's just kind of unfortunate as well for her because again, I think that, you know, it's just been a whole mix of different kind of emotions and you know, bad things going on, right? So these are the people these are the people hating on Anya Nyabyss, by the way. Probably not going to say the last bit, but you can read that. Anya's face when Sakura told her that she's not getting 3D concerts right off the bat just by being a nepo hire. So yeah, obviously people are not so happy about that one either, because obviously, as we said, it was over like creativeness and whatever. That is why she's left. Presumably because, you know, she can't be able to do the events maybe and stuff that she wanted to do, which of course, yeah, people say like, oh, she's getting angry at Sakura. And I think it all comes down to what Phase Connect really promised her, right? If Phase Connect said, yes, we can do 3D concerts and stuff for you and things like that, and she wasn't able to, I think it's understandable that she would want to leave very soon and be like, actually, you know what, never mind. Because again, it all comes down to the promises that they give, right? If they said like, oh, you know, we don't really know if we're going to be able to do it right off the bat or anything, you might have to wait a little while, and she's left after 6 months, then yeah, obviously then it's on Anya, right? Then it's kind of like, you know, a lot of people can be angry towards her because, you know, that they did specifically say that they wouldn't be able to do this, right? But you know, it all depends. You know, we don't exactly know what's been talked about behind the scenes and what's been promised, what's been not been promised, right? So I think that is definitely something that maybe, you know, might have some kind of effect. People's also saying, all I can say about Anya Nyabyss's graduation is that I guess I'm not surprised. Something seemed off. She didn't seem happy. It seemed flat and didn't have the joy that she used to. I think this is better for everyone. I'm looking forward to a to a certain tropical fruits resurrection. Saying no hate towards Miss Anya Nyabyss. I feel like it's just a waste of persona that could have gone to someone else, which, yeah, so someone's going to explain that comment to me, which, yeah. I think people continuously forget that working in a corpo is just a job. If you're not happy with your job, you go look somewhere else. VTuber fans way too often have some weird sense of brand loyalty, which makes it always someone else's fault. Yes, the timing of the announcement was bad, but it is what it is. Saying, shit happens. I think the only somewhat valid criticism is coinciding with Lumi's album. Do people believe each gen have hard fixed numbers of slots and predetermined models of personalities they assign to talents? It's better that she graduated quickly instead of being on hiatus forever or being on hiatus for a long time than graduate like other talents did. So yeah, I mean that is fair enough. You know, a lot of times that we've seen in the past, people will just sit into your hiatus for months on end and then eventually graduate. So at least they've done it like quickly, right? So I do understand them to a point. Nyana could have tried more, not be so impatient and be a better partner to her gen and Phase in general. Like, for example, picking a better day for the announcement and not hurt Lumi. But yeah, I would say even since her debut, she did not have the energy and creativity as when she was Nyana. Her expectations were too high, that's for sure. So I said this elsewhere and got hammered, but we really have no idea what was behind the scenes, like what the behind the scenes was like. I didn't watch her PL or Phase, but evidently, according to the people who did, she did a lot of organizing events and concerts of her own before she joined Phase, and she might have expected she would get more support from that kind of thing in Phase. My feeling is that this was much less a toxic version of the Selene Nichi thing, where talent and corporate expectations don't match up. At least Sakuna didn't organize bully sessions or something. So yeah, obviously, you know, they're comparing it to the Celeste stuff, but I just think it is just one of those things where, you know, they just weren't able to get the thing that maybe they wanted to out of it. So yeah, I mean, that's essentially it, right? But yeah, obviously it seems like she's getting a lot of backlash, so we will keep you up to date if anything else does come from that, right? But yeah, you know, obviously she will be potentially going live, you know, as Nyana at some point. We don't know, maybe it's whatever the VTuber is, you know, fully funded or whatever, because she does have a Ko-fi up for that, but we'll have to see, right? But yeah, that's essentially all I got for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameStop, use my code Kazza, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.